It has been 28 years since the last blessing on the sun, and now, on Erev Pesach, the day before the festival of Passover, it is time for another blessing. Shalom to Rabbi Chaim Richman of the Temple Institute.
Shalom.
So do you see any significance to the fact that this year the blessing of the sun falls out on Erev Pesach?
Truthfully, I would have to say no. There does seem to be a tendency to see in that some sort of prophetic fulfillment, but in reality, Birkat HaChama, the blessing over the sun, is something that we recite as witnesses to Hashem's wondrous creation, because it's an astronomical phenomena. Ironically, it's really diverting attention on this very day, the 14th of Nisan, from a positive commandment of the Torah, which is so central to the very identity and purpose of the Jewish people in the world, that it's one of the only two commandments in the Torah. The punishment for not fulfilling it is a terrible spiritual punishment of karetz, to be cut off from the source of the neshamot of the Jewish people in the future world. You know, there's a beautiful verse in the book of Ezekiel in chapter 6 that tells us, Hashem says that He passed by and He saw us wallowing in our blood, and He says, by your blood you shall live, by your blood you shall live. You know, it's that famous verse that's recited at the circumcision, and blood in that verse is in the plural, two bloods, and our sages tell us, yes, there are two bloods of covenants with the Jewish people, the blood of the circumcision, the blood of the Passover offering. And so what I'm saying is, you know, Birkat HaChama, it's a lovely thing. It's unusual. It's an astronomical phenomena. You can say the same blessing, blessed are you Hashem, creator, author of creation. You can say it over a beautiful mountain. But the idea is, you know, we seem to have lost our focus as a people over what's really the important thing in Hashem's eyes. You know, what happens if you don't say that blessing? There's no karet, God forbid, you know. But here we have a Torah obligation as a people in Jerusalem every year on the 14th day of Nisan to bring the Passover offering, and it is so totally, you know, a personification, the embodiment of who we are as a people.
Rabbi Richman, today we don't have a temple, the Holy Temple. Would you say that we are to blame for this?
I honestly believe that the reason that we don't have a temple and the reason that we're not bringing the offerings is because, for the most part, we really don't care that much. Now, I don't want to blame the Jewish people because we've been through a lot. We are very weary. It's been 2,000 years. And so to take a people that have been like a fish without water, you know, out of water for 2,000 years, this terrible disengagement, this terrible disconnect from who we are without the temple, and it's become like ancient history to us. It's become, God forbid, like mythology, and we can't even imagine. You know, the Jewish people are so special, and we have such tremendous power, spiritual potential. Imagine who we would be if we really had the temple, if we were the people that were supposed to be with God in our midst, with the divine presence. And so here the thing is, yeah, people bemoan the fact, well, what can we do? You know, there is no temple, and we are prohibited from bringing sacrifices by the political circumstances, or, you know, we are prevented from bringing the offerings because of the geopolitical reality. But my point is, you know, instead of being all excited about Birkat HaChama, like it's something that God is giving us on a silver platter, what He really wants for us is to be the people that He told us to be when He took us out of Egypt in the first place. That we should be for Him a people, and He should be for us a God. And how is the situation ever going to change? How is the temple going to be built? How will we be able to bring offerings? Just by praying, just by crying our eyes out, God is going to change things, and suddenly, miraculously, one day He's going to tap us on the shoulder with some celestial miracle and say, Kindalach, children, here, let's make shalom, let's be friends again. Here's the temple, go up. It's only going to happen if we want it to be, if we will it to be, if we effect the change. That's the basis of a Torah life. That's the core of Jewish existence. It's about action. It's about doing.
Now, should we not wait for the Mashiach, the Messiah, before building the temple?
Tell me something. Does anybody think to wait for the Mashiach before they build a sukkah? You know, does anybody think that maybe their sukkah is going to come down from heaven? Of course not. They would think that's totally absurd, because the basis of Jewish life is Hashem commands, and we fulfill His commandments. And this whole connection that people have made, it's a tofa'ah, it's a phenomena of the diaspora experience that has made us so weary, that we've made this connection in our heads between the temple and Mashiach and some mystical process. And the fact is, first of all, I have to tell you the honest truth, not only do you not need Mashiach, you don't even need the Holy Temple to bring the Passover offering and many other offerings. You need to be able to build a minimalistic, a very small altar on the exact place, on the Temple Mount, and there are certain circumstances and criteria that have to be in place, and we could bring the offering. And you know, the builders of the Second Temple, they came back a very motley crew of 42,360 Jews. Millions stayed behind in Babylon. They came back to build the second temple. They started bringing the offerings, even though the temple hadn't even been built yet. Go and look at those verses in the book of Ezra, and you know what? There was no Messiah. There wasn't even a king in Israel. But the fact is, they did not want to nullify the positive commandment of building the temple. Vasuli mikdash v'shachanti betocham. It says in the book of Exodus, chapter 25 and verse 8, you shall make for me a sanctuary, I will dwell among you. And Maimonides, the great codifier, tells us this is a positive commandment. Positive commandment is the job of every single Jewish person, to see to it that we fulfill all the commandments all of the time. And so, no, there's really no connection whatsoever between Mashiach and the temple. Of course, the Talmud Yerushalmi, our sages there, actually tell us that in the order of events, and you know there's a lot of controversy about these things, but there we have a tradition that in fact the temple is built before Mashiach appears. And so if anything, you know, the whole concept of the temple, the desire to build a temple, it's really kind of like a catalyst. We have to show God some sign of life, like Nachshon, the son of Aminadav, the prince of the tribe of Judah, walking into the sea until he could go no further, till the water came up to his nostrils, and then the sea split and stayed open the entire night for all the people. The idea here is we have to show God that we are interested through that lower arousal. Show God, yes, we are still here. We haven't lost faith, and that we are willing to do something for Him. He does a lot for us. He doesn't let us down, but what about our obligation to Him?
Rabbi Richman, as we come closer to the festival of Pesach, of Passover, when, of course, in the time of the temple, there were many sacrifices and lots of special and important and spiritual events in the temple, do you see us getting closer to the building of a temple and the bringing of sacrifices?
I want you to know that as frustrating as it may seem, there is a tremendous revival, and there is a tremendous inspiration going on right now in the hearts of the Jewish people, especially our youth here in Arutz Israel. There are so many people that are motivated now to learn about the temple, to go to the Temple Mount. In the past 20 years, we have seen such a tremendous increase in awareness, in the raising of consciousness, in all sorts of activities and publications and educational work, all geared towards restoring the concept of the Holy Temple to where it belongs, to the central arena of Jewish life. And so, you know, time will tell, and just one step at a time, but the fact is that there is a strong, vibrant, healthy current that is resonating within the collective heart and soul of the Jewish people, and again, especially our youth right now, that realizes that they've been sold a bill of goods, that Judaism is a skeleton of its true self without the Holy Temple, that 202 of the 613 commandments are totally dependent upon the Holy Temple, and that, most importantly of all, that God commanded us to build the Holy Temple for Him, and that alone is what restores the balance, what brings about our spiritual fulfillment, what brings about the restoration of the honor of His name amongst mankind, and that the destiny and the mission of the Jewish people is one thing and one thing alone, and that's to sanctify the name of God in this world, and that comes about through the resting of the divine presence in the Holy Temple.
Rabbi Richman, the Temple Institute, thank you very much for joining us.